Well, I do, but
Oh, you don't pay any
I'm
attention.
not, like, I vote specifically for the people that like tell me like, oh, vote for me, and I'm like, okay.
I kind of need to do like a
Just so
last
when I
day
start the
where I'm
live
just like
stream,
hanging outside of the union, being like,
Don't
vote.
say anything.
We're starting
Sure.
Yep, and then we'll just so people know it's working.
Wonderful. So, what do you like envision the agenda looking?
How's that color?
That's fine.
I just started to change the
For you?
That's fine. Cool.
Will this be able to tell you how many people are watching it?
It would say on the video website.
Gotcha.
I didn't. Did you get that straight? Toss one my way.
If I can snag one, sorry. Well, yeah.
Really nice.
I needed somebody to
Hi there. It's a great day. Nice to meet you.
Scheduled for an hour.
Just some information for you there.
Yeah.
Not that I have like the burning desire to.
If you do, okay.
Somebody needs to. I have two justices there.
You do?
Eduardo and Alejandro.
Have they like onboarded well?
Yeah, they're good.
Thank you.
Sound good to you?
Yeah, it looks good.
Just formal, casual, no stress.
Love that.
Perfect way to do it.
We'll give it's just a little challenging because all these different organizations, all these regional campuses, they all have their own procedure, policy. So just gonna generally speak about
Yeah.
all that, right? Then I want to give most of the time to that conversation with yourself. So position, experience.
I brought a visual.
Caleb, are you here to learn? Are you here to
I
be part
am,
of
like, I wasn't exactly aware there was a panel, but I'm here not as a candidate. Okay. I think that's I just started talking and that's where I ended up.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I'll probably do it tonight.
I brought a visual aid.
Wow. So you can tell people why they shouldn't want to be trustee, because they have to read that.
You have to read this. Not once a month.
Once a month.
You come knocking and
That's why they pay you the big bucks, right?
yeah, that's why they pay me exactly free to do that.
We're gonna start in about like 2 minutes, folks, to see if there's any more people that are gonna join us from the USG Center.
You know, like directors of big companies get paid like 200 to 300 grand a year plus expenses.
Yeah.
Like being a director was not like a career option. I would be very interested.
Titles that I'm looking for, director.
Looking to be a.
I got one of my recommended jobs on LinkedIn. It's like the director of operations for like this gigantic hospital network in like Alabama. I was like, I don't know.
In
I
Alabama?
think my recommendations were way off.
Dude, if you get it, just think about like how awesome.
Here's my resume.
Yep, it's live.
How often do you use that?
It depends on what we get. So usually for USG, we're down there Wednesday nights with them for like 3 hours, 4 hours, and then
Very nice.
we tend to do this up the street down at the Ballard Institute as well. We tend to do a lot of like the CSA, Chinese Lunar New Year, the BSA one too.
Oh, cool.
So we tend to get around a bit.
Who records the performances of the Tory?
It really depends if they have their own people or they contact us. We do it for free because we're tier 3 and that's what we offer as a service.
Yeah.
But other than that, it really depends on if it's like a club performance. They need to contact us. If they don't, then it's up to them to record anything.
I think we have a Jorgensen performance coming up.
Which one is it?
I think I'm doing it with Dylan. Hold on, I gotta look.
I know it's not Asian night. That's the time for March.
But you guys do Asian night, right?
Yeah, we do.
The UDC Yukon Dance Club.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm editing that one. Or
It's Winter Showcase.
yeah, I'm editing that one.
You're what?
I think I'm editing it.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you're editing most of them, David.
All right, folks, let's get started. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy Wednesday night to be here with us. On behalf of the Department of Student Activities, the whole UConn elections team, I want to thank you for your interest in running for office and running for these positions. These positions are important because they assist us in offering quality programming at all of our UConn campuses. They assist us in our mission of building campus communities that have a lot of opportunities for student involvement and engagement. I just want this to be an informal, casual sort of information session. Feel free to stop me, ask questions if any point something I'm saying is not making sense. Feel free to chime in. Just so you know, we're also live streaming this event. So folks who were not able to be here in the room tonight, either for whatever reason, they're at a regional campuses, they're able to watch the presentation as well. Oh, so welcome. Right, here's what we have on the agenda. I'm going to review some of the deadlines and due dates and overall timeline of the joint elections process. We're going to talk about some of the election procedures and policies, and then that'll take about first 30 minutes or so. And then I want to turn it over to the student leaders in the room who will share a little bit about their experiences. And if you have any questions about the roles or the responsibilities, you can ask them directly. One thing you're going to hear me say a lot tonight is that every organization at every campus, right, at every organization and for each position, the procedures and the policies are going to be a little different. So I'm sorry if you hear me say that quite a bit, but basically what this is going to do is give you a general idea of what to expect and to draw your attention to sort of those big items that you should have on your radar if you're interested in applying for candidacy for one of these positions. So a little bit about the joint elections process itself. As the name suggests, it takes all of these different things, all this different stuff that students are able to vote on, including why you're all here, the one component that brought you all here, student leadership positions. It also takes, for trustee student organizations, if they have fee affirmations or fee increases, that's part of the joint elections process. If there's any constitutional amendments for trustee student organizations, all of that appears when students sign in to look and vote during this early March 3rd to March 5th elections process. Any questions about what the joint elections is or what's involved? What people vote on it? Great. Just gonna check my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. So for the component of the joint elections that brought you all here, right, we're gonna talk about what positions are open and what the process for submitting your candidacy for these positions are. So as you can see, across all campuses, there are different positions open for the next academic year, the 2020-2021 academic year. All campuses are eligible, students on all campuses are eligible to campaign and vote for the student trustee election. You know, come on in. Things that are, positions that are designated with an asterisk is a special election. That means there is either a vacancy in that seat or the current student leader is unable to fulfill the remainder of their term. For those positions, that's essentially what the incoming candidate would do, would fulfill the remainder of that term. Any questions about this slide? I'm going to go over really quickly just some of the important dates, some due dates, some deadlines. You can also find a complete list of this timeline on our website, vote.uconn.edu. It's a fantastic website. This presentation, I should have mentioned, this presentation and other materials is going to be available on the vote.uconn.edu website following this presentation. So, hey, how you doing? So, obviously, you're all here tonight at the candidate information session. The next date that you should have on your radar if you're interested in campaigning and submitting your candidacy is February 7th. At that date, intent to runs are due at noon to respective organizations. So, again, as I said, every organization, every campus does things a little differently. If your organization submitted an intent to run form to our office is located on the vote.uconn.edu website. You'll fill out that form, submit it to the appropriate person, and that's essentially letting the organization know that you do intend to campaign for that position. If you go on the website, you don't see an intent to run form for your organization, it's still a good idea to let your organization know by the 7th if you intend to campaign for a position in that org. Stores USG, this is something that Stores USG calls their seeking clause. The names of president, vice president, and comptroller candidates are sent to our office, and that is so that our office can conduct student leader eligibility checks. We recognize that these positions, and just campaigning for these positions, takes a lot of time and effort, and so Stores USG has this clause to ensure that the student leaders who are running for those positions are on good academic and probationary status with the university. Any questions about this slide? All right. On February 18th, orgs, the individual student orgs will certify the packets and send a complete candidate list to our office. That's not something that you all need to worry about, but just to know, on the 18th, yes, that's right, February 18th, your signatures for your petitions are going to be certified by our office, and the list of candidates will appear on our vote.uconn.edu website. So by this time, you will have submitted your bio, your name, on your intent to run for those specific positions. We'll take those, put them all together, put it on our website. If you want to have your photo taken by our graphics department in student activities, you can sign up to do so between February 19th and February 20th, and we'll send out a sign up link so that you can sign up for a time to come in, take your headshot, that we can use on our website, also on our ballots. So when people go on to the U-Contact system, they will be able to see your name, your bio, and your headshot. Hello.
Hi.
February 18th is when marketing for elections begins. So at this time, you can begin marketing for your specific, campaigning for your specific position. Any questions about this slide? Yes?
Wait, so can you talk about the campaigning designation or the start of campaign period on February 18th?
Mm-hmm. So we encourage campaigning to occur between the dates of February 18th and March 3rd, which is the first day of the joint elections process. And that is because the student organization packets are certified on the 18th. So candidates will be certified by their respective organizations on this day, saying, yes, you're okay, you're good to campaign, you're good to start campaigning. This leaves about a 2-week window, which was created because campaigning for these positions, again, takes a lot of time and effort and energy, and we recognize that you're also students. So we limit this campaigning window so that it doesn't affect other areas of your student life. Yes?
So you do recommend not to not start campaigning before the 18th?
Right, because your respective, whoever the respective advisor or whoever's in charge of elections in those specific organizations won't certify you until February 18th
Okay,
to be able to run officially as a candidate.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So if you do campaign before, like what happens in terms of like penalties or just like is that a violation? I'm just wondering.
Well, I'm gonna say this all night. Every student org handles campaign violations differently.
Okay.
So those should be listed in the election packets and in your respective organizations' governing documents. Yes.
I might just, I don't want to step on your toes.
No, please.
Maybe be able to lend a little bit of light to this. So I'm Caleb Moore, I'm the Chief Justice of USG. In our bylaws, it says that you can start campaigning, of course you won't have been certified, like Kurt said, until the 18th, but you can start campaigning when the election packet comes out. The election packet has been released, so you can start campaigning, at least in USG's eyes, once the packet's out, but know that you won't be certified by student activities until the 18th. In regard to violations, like I said, once the packet comes out, you can start campaigning violations. If you want to talk about that, I can get into that later, but for that at least.
Hi everyone, I'm Avalyn. I'm the Elections and Outreach Commissioner for USG. So up there it says like the 18th, which is when you'll be certified. On our channels, you'll see for the petitions that they're due February 14th. So that is a deadline that we have for USG, just so like I'm on my end, I'll be able to send everything over to them beforehand. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up in the air before you start seeing any different dates. So I encourage everyone to get everything in by February 14th. But I understand that getting that many signatures, especially for those of you interested in running for president, vice president, you have to get, I want to say 450 signatures. So I understand that can be a little tough. So I am open to working with you. I know in the last election I definitely worked with people who weren't able to make that deadline. But just know February 14th is a deadline that we're pushing for. But like I said, I am a nice person. I understand we're all students. And I'll hand out my business card in a few, so you'll always have my email too.
Thank you for that. Thank you for adding. Again, every student org does run their elections process a little differently. I should clarify that you will be petitioning and collecting signatures before this February 18th date. This is sort of just a window where really active campaigning begins. In this window is, for example, the Stories USG debate, and is considered the campaigning window of the elections process. You will, again, be petitioning before that, and yes?
I will say, for the student trustee election, this is a binding date. So there is a period beyond which, like, you can't campaign before that period, or you're in violation of STEC policies. So make sure you read your packet, because
Yes.
the rules do vary.
Yes, rules do vary. Read your packets thoroughly, right? One thing I will say later on is that individual candidates are required and they're expected to know and understand their specific campaign policies and regulations, right? If you have questions about what is and what is not considered a campaign regulation, what is and what is not allowed, please ask a representative from your organization. Contact our office. If we don't know the answer, we'll refer you to someone who does. So, thoroughly go through your election packets, go through the governing documents of the organizations. Any other questions? Thank you for adding. Appreciate that. Again, I'll send out a link at the UConn Student Activities Office and stores if you want to come take a headshot with our graphics team. We'll send out a link for you to be able to do that. Some more important dates. February 24th is the Stores USG presidential debate, 6:30 to 8:30, location to be determined. Still working on that. This is something that you don't need to worry about as candidates, but this refers to fee affirmation and fee increases for student organizations. Yes, Bree.
So Kurt, does that debate include the comptroller debate or just presidential?
If USG elects to have a comptroller debate, that will be up to the Elections Oversight Committee.
But during that time as well?
It would occur during that 2-week campaign window.
Okay.
So if you and Adeline decide that you want to include the comptrollers in this debate, you can. If you want to have a separate debate, you can also do that, but it would have to occur in that 2-week window.
So I can kind of add now, we were planning to do the comptroller debate during the same. So it's presidential and comptroller, so it's been here. It's all the
Okay.
24th.
So if you're interested in running for USG president, vice president, comptroller, you should have this date on your calendar. And I will make that correction on the website. Any other questions? So the actual 2020 joint elections are going to occur between March 3rd, noon, and March 5th at noon. During this time, and in the 2 weeks you're going to be campaigning for yourselves, our office is going to be encouraging students to vote and encouraging the student organizations we work with to encourage students to vote. Tell people how to vote. Voting occurs on UContact. If you're not familiar with using UContact, it's a fantastic database that student activity uses quite often. All the ballots are going to appear on the UContact system. So, for example, if I'm a first-year student at the store's campus living in Northwest, when I log on to UContact to vote between the 3rd and the 5th, all of the different ballots that I can vote on are going to appear. All the different ballots of which I am a constituent member of, including undergraduate student trustee, store's president, vice president, comptroller, the special election to fill the residential seat if there's one open for Northwest, as well as any fee affirmations or fee increases. Those will all appear, and that will be an individualized ballot for each person who signs on. Any questions? Yes?
Why is there only a 48-hour window for the joint elections? Do you know?
I don't have a specific answer for that.
Okay.
I don't have a specific answer for that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I can find out for you.
Okay.
But it is a 2-day, 4 to 48-hour window in which voting occurs.
I only asked just because voter turnout and stuff like that, and getting the maximum amount of people to vote. I don't know. 48 hours just sounds like a stretch, but that's just in my opinion. But yeah, but that's fine.
And
I was
that's,
just wondering.
and that's something we can take into consideration for future elections.
Yeah.
And that's something you can obviously talk to me or another member of our team if you feel the window should be longer or shorter. And we're very open to changing things and changing procedures in the future. March 6th, results are emailed to the candidates who have won the election pending appeals. I'm going to touch on appeals a little later. Again, every student organization handles campaign violations and their appeals process differently. Okay? So know a little bit about your respective organization's appeals process. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. All right, procedures. I'm going to just grab my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. If anything doesn't make sense, please, please, please ask your respective organization or contact a member of the UConn elections team, myself, or our assistant director, Krista, in student activities. If you're confused about a specific policy or regulation, let us know. We can look through those together. Ask us questions. Again, candidates have an individual responsibility to thoroughly understand their specific organization's campaign policies and procedures. You want to make sure that you review your election packets and the governing documents pertaining to elections for each of your organizations. Complete petitions as needed. Different organizations, different campuses, and different positions are going to require a different number of signatures on those petitions. My recommendation and the recommendation of the UConn elections team is you want to be able, you want to get more than what's required in case some of those petition signatures are invalid because they're illegible or whatever other reason. So it's a good idea to get a little more than what is required. And I already touched on the Stores USG seeking clause about student leader eligibility checks. Any questions? So now I'm going to talk very generally about different campaign policies. I'm not going to be able to talk specifically to different organizations' specific policies. The policies and regulations for the student trustee election differ from those from the Stores USG election, differ from those from the Stanford student government election, right? But these are things that you should think about and consider when you're beginning your campaign, right? A complete list of the posting and marketing policies will be available on our website. Some things to keep in mind: you cannot use university announcements such as the Daily Digest in some organizations to campaign yourself. Listserv emails, there are different regulations concerning what sort of emails you can send to which groups on the listserv. Residential life halls have their own posting policies, same as the student union, rock painting, library, dining hall. You can find links to all of these different posting policies and marketing policies on our vote.uconn.edu website. Questions? And again, if you have questions later on about what can I post where, can I use, what sort of posters can I put where, what buildings can I put them in, just be sure to ask us. We'll be able to help you out. This is the overall policy that student activities has, right? In university buildings that have separate posting policies, see the list at the end of this document or the next page. Items may be posted on those areas clearly designated for public use. This excludes areas that are clearly designated for departmental use. So some buildings will have bulletin boards and you need to get permission to post marketing materials on that specific bulletin board. Under no circumstances may items be affixed in any manner to university signs, lampposts, trees, sidewalk. Chalking is permitted on sidewalks, right, but not permitted in any areas inaccessible to green or vertical surfaces, right? So you can read through this whole marketing posting policy on your own time. Some other campaign policies that, again, I won't be able to speak directly to for each respective organization, but good things to keep in mind are all of these campaign spending policies. So personal expenditures, campaign contributions, donations of goods, those typically have a cap for each respective organization where you cannot spend more than X number of dollars of your personal money. You cannot get you cannot receive a contribution that is over this cap, right? Travel, typically not considered a campaign expense. Typically, again, depending on the organization, there is maximum expenditures. Raffles and drawings typically are not allowed in campaigning. And then different organizations require some sort of campaign fund documentation by a specific date. Those should be available in your governing documents and your elections info packets, right? Please make sure that you take this very seriously. The Department of Student Activities and UConn Elections, we take this seriously. We like to know and track your campaign funds. Keep good record, keep good documentation of what you spend, what you take in. Yes?
So specifically for USG elections, where will I go to find the caps on that? Will it be on the Student Activities website?
It should be on our vote.uconn.edu website in the elections packet, specifically for Stores USG. Yes, and if it's not, just contact us and we'll make sure we put it up there. Yes.
Actually, never mind. I was gonna. Never mind.
All right. Any other questions before I go on? All right, campaign violations. I'm going to just read this. Alleged campaign violations are handled within each specific organization. The process and procedure, of course, differs for campaign violations and appeals for each respective organization. Typically, alleged violations of campaign rules and regulations need to be submitted in writing to the appropriate organization representative the same day as the polls close. So, for example, for the student trustee election, those campaign violations need to be submitted by the candidates themselves by 3 o'clock on the close of election polls, March 5th. For Stores USG, campaign violations need to be submitted within 12 hours of the ending of the voting period. So again, each organization is different in how they manage the appeals process. So you'll definitely want to know that as well. Those you can find, again, in the elections information packets and in the governing documents, bylaws, constitutions of your respective organizations. If you have questions about campaign policies, campaign violations, campaign appeals, again, be sure to ask our department or your specific organization representative. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over for the next, 30 minutes or so to our current student leaders. Thank you very much for being here. If you have any questions, they're here to answer them to the best of their ability. They're here to share a little bit about their experiences in their student leadership positions. I'll turn it over to you.
You want to go first for us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nandan. I'm a senior computer science major, and I'm the current undergraduate student trustee. I was elected first in a special election to serve, I think the spring of 2019, and then I was elected for my current term, which runs from the fall of 2019 through the spring of 2021. And so the special election, I'm going to graduate this spring, and so the special election will cover the last year of my term. Just show of hands, how many of you have heard of the student trustee?
A little bit.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, this is not the response I usually get. So for those of you that don't know, the student trustee is a full voting member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Connecticut. The Board of Trustees is responsible for executive level hires, the full budget and policies of the undergraduate, or of the whole University of Connecticut, including the health center. So what we kind of do in a meeting is we'll review a binder full of items. So this is a binder from June of this year. And this binder, I believe, contains reappointments of professors to seats, academic affairs, ranging from creating new majors to kind of approving sabbatical leaves. There's the budget in there. I think it's like $2.7 billion. Every kind of major capital project we take on goes to the Board of Trustees. Issues go through the Board of Trustees. Like, if you can imagine, the Board of Trustees is ultimately responsible for everything that happens at the university. So that being said, the fact that we are able to elect a student that has both a voice and a vote on that body is something that's pretty rare for universities our size. And so it's really a privilege that we go to a university that respects the voice of the students, both undergraduate and graduate, that much. Yeah, I mean, are there any questions? Is anyone thinking about running? Okay. Good.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay. No, I mean, if you have questions, just ask now, because it's being live streamed. And so.
I mean, I don't have any like specific questions. I just want to know like more information,
Okay.
kind of like how you got into it.
Yeah. So I actually started my my campus political career, if you can call that, in USG as a freshman. I ran for a Senate position. My sophomore year, I was the Speaker of the Senate of the undergraduate student government. The next year, I was the Chief Justice, and now I'm the trustee.
Okay.
So, kind of a long pathway that you don't actually need to follow, right?
Okay.
There
So
are
you
no
could just jump into
prerequisites.
it
Yeah.
if you want it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Having the experience definitely
is
a
definitely
plus.
going to help. Yeah. So,
Doesn't
as
hurt
part
to
of my
put-
previous roles, I served on University Senate and University Senate Executive Committee. I found that those roles really helped me a lot when it came to getting up to speed and understanding what was going on. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? Fun. Okay. Well, you guys should run. It's exciting. It's going to be up for election again next year too, because my term will end.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Priyanka and I'm the current student body president.
My name is Mandy. I'm currently the vice president.
So I guess a little bit of introduction. I guess a year ago we were in your seats right now running for the same election. And I guess some advice for you, definitely look through the election packet because we weren't very diligent with looking through the packet and making sure everyone on our campaign team knew exactly what they were doing. We ended up in a month of violations. So that means that our election results were delayed an entire month, which also delayed our transitioning period and hiring and getting our governing board trained. So once you are president and vice president, you also get to basically delegate and hire 10 different students as part of your cabinet / executive committee, and they help you make decisions on the biggest parts of this university. So me as president, my role is more external. So I meet with student affairs as well as Manny actually, with the chief of police, with student health and wellness. I'm also part of the Senate Executive Committee, University Senate, and those are more of the student body president based. So I follow more of an external role.
Whereas I follow more of the internal role. So I pretty much am the supervisor and overseer of our student activities office, the USG office. We have several employees, ranging from the funding staff to the SOC to our very own senators, making sure that everyone is pretty much following organizational and office culture, organizing community activities. I do attend some of the meetings that Priyanka attends as well, but then also I get to sit back and also kind of watch sometimes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a show of hands, who's thinking of running for the president, vice president ticket? All right, yeah, that's awesome. I'm really happy and full support for y'all. If you need any advice or questions, let us know. I think the way that the transitioning period is going to go, we have the elections the first week of March, and then there's one more week before spring break. Hopefully the election results will be released before spring break. If not, if they're released after spring break, then the transitioning period is delayed. But if the results as scheduled are released before spring break, then we will be transitioning with you all up until the end of March and early April to help you with your board, to help you with meeting office staff, getting connected, etc. So if you do decide to run, you're definitely not alone in the process of getting into those positions, and we will teach you everything that you need to know during that time, and always a text away. So.
Yeah, our phone numbers are posted, I believe, on the USU website. If not, you can send us a quick email.
Our professional
as well.
numbers are posted.
Professional, yes, not our cell phones. Professional numbers on the USU website, as well as our emails. We have business cards for you too. You can take as well. But at this point, you want to do Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
So, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah.
What were some things that you experienced within campaigning? Some of the most effective strategies and some things that you were like, this didn't really work.
So I guess we could give a little rundown of our campaign. So we just advice for anyone who's trying to campaign, doesn't really know where to start. I would say first get a campaign manager, someone that's able to lead your campaign so you're not doing it yourself. It's really hard to be candidates and be your own campaign manager.
And
be a student. It's just not feasible. So have one of your closest friends like help you with your campaign. They know who you are, they know your values, they can advocate on your behalf. I also recommend formulating a campaign team. For the president and vice president, the average is around 60 students of a campaign team. And I also recommend having a inner group of students that you can trust wholeheartedly with anything. So have a small group, but also a larger group that can table for you, put up flyers, chalk, anything that you might need during that time. I also recommend, again, following the policies, reading through the packet, like highlighting everything you don't know, because anything you don't know can be used against you, and you don't want that, right? Like you want a smooth transition and you want a smooth election process, and I don't want fingers to be pointed at you like they were pointed at us. So I recommend reading through the policies itself, and then schedule a meeting with Evelyn. She is the best, and she will go through the entire packet with you if need be, and help you through the process as well. I also recommend, like, you're running for the students, right? So make sure that you are presenting yourself to them. Make sure they know who you are, that those are my VP and P, you know, like I want them to represent me. And I think that was one of our favorite parts about the campaign process, is that people were proud that we were representing them, and that's what you want ultimately, like students who are proud that you are representing them and you are their student body president and vice president. And I think it's definitely been a challenging year for us, being students, having 2 jobs. Both of us work another job as well. But it's very rewarding in the sense that you get to see change happen every day. You get to be in those rooms with administrators, be part of the decision-making process. I think none of them can say the same. And that's something very rewarding that not many students get to do. And when I go into meetings, I say, my name is Priyanka, but I'm also a name of 19,000 other students. Because I'm here with one student position representing 19,000 students. And that's a really, really big deal that I don't think a lot of people understand.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that already. But yeah, no, definitely make yourself very visible, very accessible. Use social media. I think that's really important, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I think is a thing now too. Point is, you are students as well. Yes, this is a very serious campaign, but that being said, they also want to see what makes you you, what different experiences have led you to this position. What connections do you have? What connections do you plan on building? Whether that's meeting with different student leaders, meeting with different administration members, or just networking, within your body itself as well. And then also I'd recommend trust your campaign partner because you're going to be working with them heavily, nonstop, 24/7. And so it's really good to have a very cohesive relationship. Always try to be on the same page, communicate with each other. They're going to be your professional best friend, and hopefully at the end they'll also be your best friend as well.
I hope that that the candidates who are running for president, vice president, you all really trust your running mates, because at the end of the day, like when things go rough, like that's who you lean on, and that's how that's the connection that you build with each other. And we see each other a lot, and we also have another job where we work together as well. So it's really important that you build that trusting relationship with them and that you can count on them. And know that once you do have your partner, you're not alone, because you also have your chiefs of staff, you have your PR director, you have Adeline, who's also part of our cabinet, you have your committee chairs that you can also lean on for support. So you're never really alone. And we also have a great advising team with Kurt, Krista, and Alquan that have helped us through the entire process of transitioning, and that when we don't have the answers to many day-to-day issues, they will definitely help and solve us and be there for us. So, yeah. Any questions?
That was a good question.
That's a great question. Anything about like day-to-day duties, like transitioning periods? Yeah.
What is like a normal week like in terms of like your USG like responsibilities?
Sure. Because we have different weeks, I think.
Yeah. So on average, you're probably putting in at least 15, at most 20, 25 hours a week. I would say a normal week will consist of meetings both with administration as well as student groups, as well as student leaders. So for example, there's internal leaders such as the speaker, such as the Chief of Justice, where you might meet with them to see where initiatives overlap. You can be meeting with other senators to talk about initiatives that they're going through, or you can meet with university admins such as President Tom Katsleis, or Division of Student Affairs, or simply Residential Affairs, talking about kind of problems that are going on in their communities and how can we help as undergraduate student government. And then on top of that, you also will be making connections with another Tier 3 organizations. So for example, SUBOG, WUS, Daily Campus as well, all those different publications and media, you'll also be working in tandem with them. So for example, just letting them know about what you're doing, what you have upcoming, kind of scheduling those meetings, because I think those are very integral to the role. It's very easy to be very narrow-minded, but like your organization is part of something bigger. It's part of UConn Nation. And then I would say, also just taking classes. You're a student as well. So I'd say I try to build my schedule around, my classes, this job, my second job, and then all the personal stuff comes after. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit? Yeah, so I would, to summarize it, it's a lot of meetings, public appearances, and then also scheduling and doing some paperwork and planning things for the future.
Yeah. I think specifically as a student body president, they ask you to be at a lot of these big meetings. So at the Senate Executive Committee meeting that oversees University Senate as a whole, the student body president in their bylaws is mandated to be there. They're also present at some board of trustee meetings if part of a coalition or a committee or a workforce or task force. There's a lot of different committees and task forces that the university itself holds and admin run that they would like the student body president to be on. And if the student body president can be on there, Manny goes, or one of my chiefs of staff, or another representative of my body. So it depends on what the meeting is about, but usually the high level meetings, most of my week are attending those meetings and be present, asking questions, and being representative for the students. I would say that another part of my job is also being able to answer emails, communicate, leading a cabinet as well. As student body president, you have, I would say, around 10 to 12 people supervising to you, so you have to guide their tasks and be able to supervise them day to day as well. So a lot of different tasks, depending on the president itself and what your values and initiatives are, you can guide it anyway. And I really appreciate how flexible our roles are. Like, yes, we have our day-to-day that we have to do and keep going, but there's also a lot of flexibility and room for stuff that we want to do and stuff that we're passionate about and we would like to see in the student body. So there's definitely a lot of ways that you can maneuver your own schedule when you get into the role. Great question. Yeah.
I had a question kind of going off of that. So I know that you guys have kind of like different roles, like internal, external, but is there a possibility that like would Manny be able to join you in the like the meetings that you usually go to, or like you join him, vice versa? So is there like that way to like mix the roles or like put them together, or like not as much as so much together, but just kind of like support each other and join each other in the roles that each one has?
Right. And that's where I go back to having a good relation with your president and vice president. Okay. Because once you have once you have the relationship, that happens all the time. Okay, or I'm like, Manny, I kind of want your opinion on this. Like, come with me. Like, it's scheduled at this time. Or I want you to be in this video or in this like public appearance. I want you to be there with me. And then when he feels that my role or my voice is necessary, he will also let me know. Okay. Or we keep each other in the loop all the time. So we do have our own different tasks, but yes, exactly. Like, we always kind of merge, and he comes to my meeting sometimes and I come to his.
Okay, perfect.
I will say this though, some committees like Senate Exec, you cannot have a stand-in, because they're all confidential. Nothing that is said in those meetings can leave the meeting. Okay. And there's only one person authorized to be there, so that is a thing too.
Okay, yeah.
It's rare though that those meetings.
Yeah, that's only one meeting I would say of mine, but if I'm meeting, for example, I have a meeting with Michael Gilbert, the head of student affairs, every month, and Manny comes with me during those meetings as well. Any other questions? Well, we wish you the best of luck. Yeah, go ahead.
What are like your most difficult meetings? Do you ever like have a meeting that you're like, oh, like I don't know how to feel? Like, do you ever feel not prepared to go to some of these meetings?
I would say all the time, and that's not because I don't have the knowledge or I didn't study up. It's because sometimes these rooms are intimidating, and I guess the biggest piece of advice I say is, and when you get into this role, it'll be more clear to you. But how you can make space for yourself, I think definitely as a woman of color, I've been intimidated, or I felt like I didn't have my own voice there. But you do. It's just how you create your space for yourself. And I would say it takes a few months learning the role and learning how you want to present yourself and how you want to maneuver those ropes. But once you get it right, and you will, it becomes a lot more easier. So I would say, like, when you're going to these meetings, just read the minutes of the meetings beforehand, or ask them to send you an agenda of the meeting before. And I always come in with questions prepared so that when they ask me, or they don't ask for my opinion, like, I'll still talk and I'll still, again, provide a space for myself. Anyone else? Okay, well, again, best of luck to you all. Like, please let us know. Our email is just president@usu.edu, then vice-president@usu.edu. So if you have any questions about the role specifically, just to note, there is no campaigning in the USG office or second floor at all. So we won't be able to talk about your campaign directly in the office, but if you need any day-to-day like jobs or duties, or if you have questions about the role itself, please email us and let us know. No, I don't think so. No. Okay, thank you. Thanks for.
So, hi everyone. Once again, I'm Evelyn. I'm the Elections and Outreach Commissioner, so I'm basically running the show for our elections. By show of hands, who is interested in running for either Senate or Comptroller, President, like in the USG elections, basically, not student trustee? Okay, so I'm only asking just because I have the election packet, so here you go by hard copy. And thank you. Sure. Two.
Can I get a copy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Also, here's my card. Let me try canceling. So my email's on it. That's the best way to reach me. Yeah, so just to kind of quickly walk you through the most, the things I really want to bring your attention to. The first page just has all of our open positions and how many seats there are. So one thing I also do want to note about the president and vice president ticket is when you are filling out that intent to run, you do have to know who you're running with. So it's a very important piece. In the past, I know I've heard of people that knew they wanted to run for president, but they didn't have a running mate. So unfortunately, you can't run for the ticket if you don't have a running mate. So that's very important to know. So if you know that you want to be vice president, but you need to find someone to run president with, definitely do that by the next week or so. And then comptroller is just comptroller. All the other ones just have how many seats are open for all of our senator positions. So this election, all of our academic seats are up. So if you are interested in representing your school or college, this is the election for you. And your term will end next spring. This is also the election for our multicultural and diversity seats, which we're really excited for this year, as we now have 7 seats open versus the 2 which we've had in the past. So this is just for anyone that feels that they come from an underrepresented community on campus, and you feel that you can really, be an advocate and agent of change. So that is an at-large seat, meaning that everyone on the undergraduate student or on the undergraduate campus would be able to vote for you. Whereas in the other seats, the academic and residential seats, it's only the people that are within that given school or college or residential area that can vote for you. So that is the main distinction. Multicultural diversity senators, anyone can vote for you. So that's what they wanted to do there. Next page has a timeline, which is definitely, I hope I made it as concise and as understandable as possible. So in the timeline right now, we're at Wednesday, January 29th, which is obviously this information session. The intent to run form is due next Friday, and then the following Friday, the petition by peers form is due. But like I mentioned, student activities doesn't need it until the 18th. So for me, like I said, I try to be a very nice and accommodating person, so I totally can understand, especially for those of you that are running for president and vice president, you can't get all the signatures by the 14th. We'll definitely work something out as long as it's before the 18th. But and one piece of advice that I do want to share is if you handed in that intent to run form, I really encourage you to start getting signatures. All you need are people's names and email addresses. So even if you start like a Google form or a Google Doc and you start taking some down until, I just don't want you to have to wait on me, because I will send you a link for your UContact page, which will be the primary way that you will be taking your signatures.
So if candidates go out and collect email addresses and names, will they be able to backfill that into UContact?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why I recommend, and also I recommend doing that in the event that maybe it did scan or maybe UContact messes up and you lose everything, which hasn't happened, but just in the event, technology, it's always good to keep record for yourself of who filled out your petition. So you can do that for sure.
So you recommend kind of like a Google sheet?
Yeah, and I would recommend doing it. I know people in the past election were doing that and they found that it worked out better for them because they were able to kind of get more access at getting these signatures. I personally am not a believer that getting signatures should be difficult. I hate that it is a barrier to people applying or running for positions, so I try to make it as easy as possible. So even if you have that Google sheet and you're able to keep track of everything and even share it with me if you want to, have peace of mind. I know a few candidates did last semester just so they had their peace of mind, so you can totally do that. But like I said, just to kind of expedite the process and make sure that you have all your signatures in time, I'd recommend getting them before, and then once you get that UContact page, you can literally just copy and paste everything into it.
And you said 450 signatures?
Yes, that's it for president/vice president and comptroller. Now I do also want to mention, again, because president and vice president are on the same ticket, that doesn't mean that you have to get a total of, what is that, 900?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's still 450 for like the both of you.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I want to make sure I mention that.
Just to chime in, sorry for interrupting. Stores USG has the policy where they'll accept electronic signatures. Not all student organizations do accept electronic signatures. STEP, for example, Student Trustees Election Committee, still requires a paper form with handwritten signatures.
So yeah, big distinction. But like for president, vice president, comptroller, senators, electronic is fine. You had a question?
No.
No? All set. Question?
Why 450?
I think that's just kind of looking at the numbers in the past, and also, like I said, I don't want this to be a barrier, and signatures have always been a barrier in the past. So it's just kind of a number that I felt was appropriate. Yeah, just number I picked, honestly. Okay. And then next up, as Kurt mentioned, the candidate photo shoots will be the 20th through the 21st. Something else I want to throw out there.
19th through the 20th.
19th through the 20th.
That moved up one day.
Okay, moved up one day, so it's wrong in the packet, but so definitely that correction. I'll make that change too. I'll email you the revised version and all that. But USG, we will also be taking headshots for our own personal social media. We plan on doing some social media, what do you call them, like shout outs? Things? Yeah, like things like that. So highlights. We basically plan on, once we get all the information down and during like campaigning season, we'll be highlighting everyone that's running for president and vice president, as well as comptroller on our social media, as well as other outlets. So you'll be hearing from us about either doing a short video or taking pictures with us too.
I have a quick question. So I filled out the intent to run form, and it said that we had to write kind of like a summary of ourselves, or like, and it was due by the 14th.
Yes.
So do we like, I didn't fill it out with my form, but we can email that to you, or do we fill up a new form, or how does that work?
Honestly, you can literally just email me the candidate form. Yeah, or not form, like just 200 words or less.
Yeah,
so you can be like, hey Adeline, I'm blase, here's my candidate statement, and I'll literally just copy and paste it into, because I have like I have a Google form of everyone's intent to run, so I'll just add it in there.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, so for those of you that haven't filled out the intent to run form, and like she mentioned at the bottom, you are required to submit a candidate statement. However, it's not due until the 14th, so it's optional on the form. So you can either do as she's doing and send me an email by the 14th with your candidate statement, or you can submit it right then and there with the intent to run form. I just again wanted to give people as much time as possible to really come up with something thoughtful, put thought into it. So that's not due until the 14th either. Okay. And then the presidential debate, again, we are still working on a location, but the date is going to be February 24th. So again, this is just going to be an opportunity where all of our president and vice president, as well as comptroller candidates, will be answering questions on a variety of issues that our campus is facing, as well as the world as a whole, and you'll be able to people probably ask you questions too. So we'll have some moderated questions, but we will also do a very brief Q&A just for people that are there to ask as well. Okay. And then so like I said, those important dates are basically everything that Kurt has just mentioned. The next couple of pages are just pretty long descriptions just about our committees, which I really encourage you to join or come out to any of those meetings if you're able to. They're really great, and they kind of familiarize you with USG, but those aren't required. And then it just has more position descriptions, so you guys can totally look through those. So, this is the really important note. Election and campaign policies, you can find all of them on the USG website. I didn't print them out because I didn't want to waste a ton of paper, but please, 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 like Manny and Priyanka said, read through them. I recommend that if you are running for, especially for president and vice president, like talking directly to you guys, please print them out, highlight them, star things. If there's anything you don't understand that doesn't make sense to you, I'm literally an email away or a text away. Like, I'm right in the USG office as well. I should have wrote my office hours down, but I'll let you guys know that in a second so you can write it down. But please, 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 because the presidential and vice president election is the election where there are always tons of violations, because obviously, people are trying to win. Let's be real here. So it's sad that people use the violations as a way to win, but it's what happens. So you definitely don't want anything to come against you, and that won't happen if you're prepared. So like I said, I'm more than happy to meet with you guys. We can sit down together and look through them, and I can just answer any questions that you might have. So definitely take some time to look through those and really understand them. The intent to run form is online. You can find it on our USG website, on our Instagram, on the vote.uconn.edu website. So when you go on our USG website, you'll see the elections tab, and the elections tab literally redirects you to the vote.uconn.edu that has everything on there, including the intent to run form. And the petition by peers, again, if you're running for a Senate position, so a senator, you only need 50 signatures. At least 10 of them do have to be from your constituency. So if I'm a Hilltop Halls running for that position, at least 10 people of my signatures have to be people that live in Hilltop Halls. And then the other 40 can be just, other undergraduate students. As Kurt mentioned before, we do always encourage you to go a little over, just in case maybe someone isn't eligible to vote in these elections, and unfortunately they can't endorse you in the petition. So you definitely, and it has happened before, and you don't want that to happen to you. So even if it's just like 5 to 10 more signatures, it doesn't have to be a whole lot, just a few more over the requirement. And then for president, vice president seat, that's 450 signatures, and again, that's just per ticket. So if it's you and someone else running for president and vice president, you only need 450 signatures, not like 900, not like 450 each, just 450 for both of you guys.
Those signatures can overlap through like everybody, right?
Meaning?
Like someone can sign mine and sign theirs and.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. So it's not, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
so
perfect.
as long as there's stores undergraduates, they're usually all set to go.
Perfect.
All right. Question?
I've noticed differences between the vote.uconn.edu website and what it says in the election packet, such as in the packet it says that there's a spot for Busby, but on the website no such thing. So which one should I refer to, the packet or the website?
So yeah, I would always go back to the packet. This is what I directly update most frequently. Sometimes it might take a second for it to update on the website. So yeah, refer to the packet always. So there is a Busby seat open. So you're looking into running for that. And yeah, and like I said, the form's due on the 14th. I'm willing to work with you, and that's like honestly with everything. I'm here for you to support you guys through this. You have my card. I gave that to everyone, right? Right, perfect. So that's basically all that I have for you guys. Any questions at all? No? Okay. Another really great person that I do want to shout out is Caleb. He is our Chief Justice. I have to put you on the spot a little bit, but really he is also honestly a better resource than I am in terms of the policies. He is the one that will be reading all the violations and has done them in the past. So he's your go-to guy if you have any questions about the language, but as I am as well. But he's also great, very familiar with the language of it, interpreting it. So either Caleb and I, if you have any election policy specifics.
I'll just add if you,
Yeah.
it's not a problem. If you would like to chat with me or meet with me to avoid meeting with me later in violation hearings, my email is judiciary@usg.uconn.edu. I'm in the office Mondays 1:30 to 3:30 and Fridays 12 to 2. Like Evelyn said, she's a great resource too, absolutely. If you have questions on the minutia of the policies, if you're wondering like, hey, I'm worried about violating this, help me not violate it. I will be more than happy to give you advice or tell you what to watch out for, because as the one who has to do all of the hearings, I'm the first one that doesn't want anybody hearing.
Me too.
So, I'm always here.
And my office hours, I'm in the office Mondays from 2:15 to 4. So yeah, I'm just barely on campus this semester, so I usually like to tell people more so by appointment. If you want my personal number, I'm happy to give it to you. But yeah, so those are my office hours. My email is up there. And yeah, so thank you guys for listening to us chat your ears off. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Kurt.
Nope, that's about it. Folks, there's my contact information as well as our Assistant Director Krista's contact information. Our office is in the Student Union 309. In case you want to ask us a specific question, not necessarily directed to a specific organization or representative. Anything that you see as an inconsistency on the vote.uconn.edu website, or if there's a problem with doing vote on the ballot, just let us know. Alright, there's our contact information. Thanks for coming. If you want my business card, I have a bunch here. Thank you very much.
Davis.
Well, I'm guessing you're